How is it being married with your partner being in the same industry as you?
Whew, that's another loaded question. First of all, I do not recommend it.
What is that?
It's not for the faint of heart. I mean, it really takes a special chemistry in order to pull it off. And in the beginning, we bumped heads, or you ever see Fred Flintstone when he tries to take off in the car? And we were spinning our wheels because we were put a lot of energy in trying to make the other person, you be like me, and let's be like each other, instead of respecting who we were and what our strengths were, right? But then when you take, marriage, you take business partners, and you take parents, and you mesh all that together, you create a situation where you don't have the liberty of waiting to deal with it till later. Because it will turn into a three-headed, fire-breathing dragon. It will mutate like instantly. And so we learned really quick that we have to have fierce conversations. There's actually a book about that called Fierce Conversations. And usually there's topics that hurt because it brings up uncomfortable. It makes you very, very uncomfortable. It's not hurt behind it, but it's just real. It's raw. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if you have a tolerance to be able to handle those storms, because when they come, it's not the typical argument. It's stuff it's visceral. It's on a core level. It's deep. You can get your feelings hurt. My wife is 5'1", but she can hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? It's heavy. So I think that being able to navigate that, when it works, it's amazing, but it's high maintenance, meaning that you cannot be complacent, at all, or it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing this for 15 years now. And what we're learning is we have to do our individual work, and then we can grow together. Mm-hmm. Before, we were trying to grow together without doing our individual stuff.
Give us a couple examples.
Well, you want to minimize shop talk, which is hard.
And after the days of
yeah.
Pull away from those
we have this cutoff time where we say, hey, babe, after this time, no work.
Perfect.
But then real life comes in, and we're sitting there, we may be watching a movie in bed or something, and go, hey, one more thing about work, right? You got to slip it in, and then that can spin out of control. It's a work in progress. But at first we were like, it has to look this way. But then we realized it's more fluid. Right. It's not a perfect balance. Sometimes it's going to be imbalanced. Sometimes it's going to, and you have to have the tolerance to handle the ebb and flow. Overall, it's amazing, because now that we established, our roles within the relationship, like I'm the visionary guy. I'm the one that's like all in law, right? I'm in la land, right? Yeah. But I'm connecting, I'm seeing things, I have the vision, but mama is what brings the stability to that, right? She's the one with the eagle eyes, right? And then when you bring that together, that's solid. That's rock solid. But either one taking the lead, eventually it's going to break down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Welcome to Behind the Real Estate. I am your host, Paul Ponitkoff. I interview real estate agents so we can hear their real stories. Many of the stories that we're going to hear on the show will not be found in a real estate practice book. We can learn a lot from other real estate agents' mistakes and find the value and the education within their stories. I'd like to introduce my next guest, Mr. THEAUTIS Persons with Exp Realty. THEAUTIS, it is a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Paul. I really appreciate it.
Could you give us a brief overview of how you got into real estate?
Basically, I was into construction. Journeyman sheet metal worker, certified welder, and making great money at 29, 30 years old after dropping out in college. But at the same time, I was making good money, but I felt like I was more of a paycheck to my family more than a husband or a dad. Came across one of my old buddies. They said they were having a men's group in the Oakland Hills where, we get together, collaborate, talk, and support each other. And I remember that night there was people that were, professionals, doctors, lawyers. One guy was a real estate agent, and they were talking about things that I've never really heard of before, like quality of life, set your own schedule, taking vacations 3-4 times a year, that conversation was a lot different than being in the trades, work hard, as hard as you can, and retire early at the age of 52. And so in that men's group, I got the bug that, wait a minute, there is a possibility for me to change what I'm doing and live a different lifestyle and allow me to be, more of a father and a husband and being present in my kids' lives. So that's where the seed was planted. And, just to elaborate on that a little bit more, my firstborn is a girl. And thinking back to when I was a youngster, I was a piece of work. And so the last thing I wanted to do as a father was to live a life where I wasn't present and, for lack of better words, throwing our daughter to the wolves.
Yeah.
So taking a chance with going into a different profession.
So THEAUTIS, what should a brand new agent expect in their first year in real estate?
That's a loaded question. Especially now, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of noise in the industry. I would expect for a lot of their expectations to be totally in the left field, meaning that, when we get in this business, we think that, okay, we're going to get in and we're going to immediately grow our business and immediately be able to support our families doing real estate. Well, that's probably not the truth for 99% of the agents that enter the business. So I would tell them to expect for it to be extremely challenging. It's going to require a lot of patience. But I do suggest that they hook up with an experienced agent that's not going to just tell them what to do, but help them understand who do they need to be. There's a big difference. There's a lot of stuff in our industry saying, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z, you'll make a lot of money. But what our industry doesn't teach us how to do is who do we need to be to execute what to do. So that was one of the main things, one of the crossroads that I understood as a newer agent, that, wait a minute, I have all this stuff, they're telling me what to do, but there's no inspiration behind it. There's no desire behind it. And even if I say a script the right way, the delivery is horrible, so therefore it's not working. So I would definitely suggest them to partner with a mentor or a coach that's going to help them and support them in being who they need to be so that they can do what they need to do. And if it didn't work, I would humbly go back to the shop, knock on the door, and basically work my way back up the totem pole.
Yes.
And that was 15 years ago. I think we probably had maybe a 1 to 5% approval rate for making a decision to quit the 9 to 5 or making 75, 80 grand a year as a 29-year-old with excellent benefits to jump into real estate full time with not even knowing how to spell. I thought real estate was a compound word, and it was spelled real estate, not real estate. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew what I was currently doing wasn't making my spirit happy on the inside. So took a huge leap of faith.
So THEAUTIS, what is the worst mistake you've ever made in real estate?
I've made a lot of them. The scariest and the worst mistake was, I believe it was 2009. I was a listing agent, had an investor buy a property that I was listing. So it was a double-in situation. We got a sewer lateral report, but we closed without reviewing that sewer lateral report. Yes. And you figure, well, sewer laterals, sometimes there's 3,500 to 5,500 a pop, depending on how deep it is. Well, on this duplex, it was in Crockett. It was twice the normal length. It was like 14 feet underground and was illegally branched off to go to somewhere I don't know where. So I get the call and I find out that this investor is actually partnered with a group of attorneys from New York. And they want the number to the bank because they're going to go after the bank and give it to the bank, right? So I say, hold on, let me check the file, calm down, let me see if I can figure this out for us. So when looking at the file, I realized it was my fault. Meanwhile, we're transitioning to opening our own office. So, there's money going in all kind of different places for the grand opening. And I have this situation that just, arise. And that was one of the aha moments of the power of owning my part in the situation, no matter how bad it seems, right? When I saw that it was my fault, I could have tried to hide behind the bank or hid behind the E&O, but I told my investor, I was like, you know what, you guys calm down. It's on me. It was my fault. There was this eerie silence because the sewer lateral was like $22,000, not $5,500. There's this eerie silence. He said, "THEAUTIS, I'll get back to you." Like 3 days later, he calls me back and says, "I talked to the guys. We appreciate you, owning your part. If you can contribute $6,500, I will match that, and I'll get the guys to take care of the rest."
That is a beautiful story.
What do you think my answer was in that situation, right? So yes.
Story. And by the way, your description of that, I felt that I was on the phone talking to those guys and hearing that relief.
Yes.
Wow. And it just goes to show that's our role, that's our duty. In order to be a successful real estate agent, we need to step up and own it when we make those errors and mistakes.
We have to
make it right.
We have to make it right. In that moment, I could literally feel the hair growing out of my head, right? And the adrenaline was pumping so hard, I could probably be levitating across the room. But yet in that moment, I knew that if I didn't own it, it's no telling where it was going to go. So, yeah.
So I'm going to segue into what's the closest you've ever come to wanting to quit real estate?
Probably in the very beginning.
How so?
Well, that was the first time. Well, once I come to the realization that I quit my full-time job where I was making decent money and had vacation pay and full benefits, I didn't have anything in the pipeline. I just quit my full-time job. I have no business in the pipeline. And at the time, I think our monthly bills are about $10K a month. So what do you do when you have $10K a month bills, right? And no way to pay for it.
I feel you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you can imagine what was going through my head. Like, what did I just do? My wife actually quit 6 months after me. So we both went full-time, all in with a 7 and a 2-year-old.
That is truly a leap of faith.
Yes.
Together.
So I think that was my first, you know what?
Yeah.
What did I just do?
Right.
So that was horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, the odds, right? Odds are against you in that success in real estate.
I would say that's an understatement.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things when you know for a fact that what you were doing is not what you're supposed to do, you don't worry about how you're going to make it. You just believe that you can.
Right.
You believe that you can make it.
And thus it'll manifest.
Right. But I still had my moments where I'm like, holy crap, what did I just do?
Right.
Yeah.
So THEAUTIS, what is the craziest story you have in real estate?
Once again, in 15 years, they kind of pile up. They all kind of mesh together. But I'll probably say, in the REO world, that's when there's a lot of things that happen that are totally out of your control. And you see things that you never see studying for the real estate exam. You know what I mean?
That's for sure.
Just crazy things. But in this particular house, this is towards the end of the REO boom or whatever. I come into the house. It's filthy. There's all kind of stuff. I will refrain from saying what I saw. But in the living room, there was a couch toilet. There was a 2-seater, recliner love seat with a hole cut in it, a plastic lid, and a cup holder. And it was facing where the flat screen TV was.
No walls, no partitions, just
right. So I'm saying to myself, I actually pictured a guy watching a Raider Niner game or something, right? And sitting in this chair, handling this business, watching the TV right there, smack dab in the middle of the living room. That's when I thought I saw it all, I was once again surprised on some of the things that we come across in our industry. I was actually doing a property check. You know how they assign you the listing and you have to go into this spooky property where you don't know if you're going to get bit by a zombie and turn into one, you know? Walk through the house with like no electricity, things are sticking up sharp, and it was one of those situations.
I see. A little bit of an unsavory house.
Right.
If those walls could talk, right?
Yes.
So THEAUTIS, have you ever had to fire a client?
I will say yes, but I call it something else. I call it finding a dignified exit strategy.
Ooh,
yes.
I like that.
Yes, because we both know that we're all not meant to work with the same person. Absolutely. You know, or some people were just, the chemistry's there naturally, and some people it's like opposites don't attract in that situation. But one of the ways I was able to start firing clients is in 2008 or 2009, we were really, really busy. And we did a role play with our kids. And we asked the kids, what do we look like, right? And I was at the dinner table and the kids did an imitation of daddy. Basically, you know, a red-eyed zombie at the computer because I was doing BPOs and property checks and all that stuff. And since that time, we had started implementing family night. You know, family night every Friday, 5 o'clock, shut the blinds, cut the cell phones off, right? So what I started finding out is some of these clients who didn't respect the fact that family time was a priority to me, those were the first to go, you know? Because I feel that, you know, real estate agents, we have the biggest hearts. A lot of people don't realize that. And people would totally take advantage and manipulate that. So I would say there's been many times where I felt like on a gut level, this wasn't something that I thought it was a conspiracy or the client was out to get me or they were trying to do something mean to me. I just think on a fundamental level, they didn't respect me, what I represented, or the fact that my family was a priority. And for me, all money is not good money. So, you know what I mean?
How do you deal with a situation like that when you're in contract with a client?
Well, usually if we make it to contract, then that's a little too late to pull the plug. Mm-hmm. But in the event that if I had to, I would definitely, you know, scan my resources, the people I felt would be a good fit for that personality, and we'll bring them in and share the proceeds with that or share their commission. Or.
So THEAUTIS, what would you say the biggest misconception is about a real estate agent?
You know, I think that unfortunately I still hear a lot of comparison with real estate agents and used car salesmen. That the real estate agent is all about the money. And unfortunately, there's some shows out there that support that. But I know for me, I've always come from the heart. And, you know, when I was in the leadership the last 5 years at RE/MAX Gold, you get to see more behind the scenes of what really goes on with a real estate agent on the day-to-day. And what a lot of people don't know is real estate agents, good real estate agents that care, they live, breathe, sleep, and eat, or sometimes don't eat for their clients. They neglect their families, they cancel trips. If they are on trips, they're not present because they're busy checking emails, or they want to make sure that client feels like they're not abandoned. They put their lives on hold. And
So true.
I think that's something that is totally not talked about enough. Because there's certain, you know, media stuff, there's things that totally just makes us, you know, that actually takes away from our value. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's agents out there that are scrubbing toilets for clients, and top producers that are doing this. Not top producers saying, I'll never get my hands dirty, but people that are willing to grab a freaking broom and help their client get their listing ready for the market.
I've been on the roof scraping composite shingle.
Right.
I've been underneath the house.
Right.
Yeah, we do that.
And I think that's something that, the consumer, the buyer, the seller, the person that's considering working with a real estate agent, they just know that that's what we do behind the scenes.
And they have no idea what they're really getting into.
No idea, exactly. And it's, like I said, we lose. How many sleepless nights have you had because something was about to blow up, or there was some stress and you didn't want to let the client down?
Yeah, we're not just sitting in a hot tub drinking martinis.
Right. Yes, there's a lot of agents out there that care. They really care, to the point where it's detrimental to their own health. Yeah.
What would you say the biggest problem in the real estate industry is?
I would say that right now there's just too much noise. Here we are, all this technology, right? Just too many tools. There's too many apps. There's too many promises that if you use this, it'll take your business to here. And a lot of this is what you do, but no one's teaching on who do you need to be, right? So the vendors, all the people that are selling all these better mousetraps, they don't care about that because they know that they can sell a real estate agent like, okay, this agent, they're so crazy right now. They won't even know it's not going to work, but they're going to sign up for a subscription, right? And they're going to sign up for the 2-year subscription and they're going to forget about it because their life is so busy, they won't even know they're being charged, right? There's predators in our industry that take advantage of the fact that real estate agents are all over the place, right? And so I think that what we're missing in our industry is less is more. Less is more. Get really good at 3 things. Don't suck at 10, right?
I like that.
Get good at 3, really good at 3, and don't suck at 10.
So you worked with Chris Powell, who was a great inspirational leader for me over at Remax Gold.
Right.
And he recently, unfortunately, had passed away, and I know that you worked closely with him on the leadership team. Would you like to care to share anything regarding Chris Powell?
Yes. As you can see, that's still very emotional for me, but not in a negative way. It's a very inspirational. It's real. It's raw. It's Chris, for a lot of agents, helped them take their business from here to, help them break past that mental barrier. For me, one of the things I loved about Chris, well, he was also African American, right? And there was not too many African American in our community that was doing business at a high level or inspiring others at a high level, not just one particular demographic, but all, right? What I loved about Chris is his passion. I mean, just off the charts.
Off the charts.
His Energizer Bunny will actually have to take a break trying to catch up with Chris, right? It was just amazing. And what I liked about him is there was no excuses. Like if there was a problem or if you couldn't figure out something, it was like, don't stop there. Don't let that stop you. There's a way. If there's a problem, there's a solution, right? He was just wired that way. One thing I learned about Chris Powell's passing is it helped me see our industry, the sickness as our industry as a whole, meaning that we put life on hold with the horrible expectation that it's going to be there waiting for us when we get back, right? Chris was 50 years old. How many times as a real estate agent or real estate broker have we put off a vacation? We can't make it to that birthday party. We can't make it to that recital. Oh, I can't take the kids on the camping trip this time because I got this big deal going on. Or I'm going to go out of the country after I save this amount of money or after I close this many deals. You know what I mean? We're constantly putting life on hold. And that was a catalyst, that happening along with several other things where I saw in other people's lives that life stopped, but there were other plans that didn't get a chance to manifest because they were put on hold. And I'm so unfortunate that Chris's passing brought that to the forefront for me. but it's something that I'm forever grateful for. And I feel it's my responsibility to not put my life on hold and show other agents in our industry how important it is that we can do both. We can do life and we can do real estate. You know, we're influenced to think that we have to do one or the other. If we go be with our families or if we go take vacations, we're slackers, or there's something negative to that. We got to keep going, burning the candle from both ends 24/7, and somehow that's rewarded. And somehow that's good. To get a top producer title, a plaque, an award. And one thing I learned in this business is when you decide, oh, I want to be a top producer, or I want to be the top of this, chances are you're going to suck at other aspects of your life. I've never seen someone who's just totally crushing it on the business level and can say they're totally crushing it in their marriage, and they're totally crushing it with their relationship with their kids. And it's like, it's lopsided. The pendulum is swung way too far.
So true.
So for me now, Chris Powell has, inspired me to, live life now and be there for my clients and provide a high level of service and, be on the journey to be the best version of myself and help as many people as I possibly can while doing it, right? That sounds like a lot, but what I'm learning is if you're doing the right things in your life, it's not work, right? If you're doing the right things, it's not work. You got plenty of energy, you can get plenty of sleep. There's really not that much stress, and when the stress comes, it comes and it goes. That's just life. So that was just a long-winded way of saying that Chris definitely hasn't been forgotten for me. I know that a lot of agents in our community are he's done a lot for them, whether they know it or not, right? I've seen him operate behind closed doors, and I've also seen him be very human. A lot of people have seen him as the machine, the motor, the guy who is, emotionless. He's just closing the deal. But where my respect really went through the roof for him is when he shared, the tender side of him that gave us insight on to why he is and why he goes so hard. So that's just an example of we have many superheroes in our industry, right? But we have to slow down and start recognizing some of our heroes within our community and use that as a synergy to bring us close together. Like I work for EXP, you're for Remax Go. I'm really beyond who an agent works for. Like at this point, like really, like I'm not competing against you. Sorry. I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to give myself a self-check. And if I'm full of you know what, I'm going to go handle my business for THEAUTIS, right? And at the end of the day, if that puts me somewhere, whatever, it's not about that. It's not about that. So thank you, Chris. Thank you for asking that question. I don't know if I even answered it, but I just know that his presence is powerful, and we all have a responsibility to find that light in us, bring that to the forefront, be willing to share it with others, so that we can create the momentum with, inspiring all of us to be a better version of ourselves.
Amen.
Yeah.
Oh, that was powerful. That was so good.
You like that, really?
I love that.
Oh, okay.
Seriously. THEAUTIS, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
It was fun. It was real, and it was from the heart. So I don't even have any notes. This paper is blank right here. This came straight from the heart, all right?
Sure did.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you for watching another episode of Behind the Real Estate. If you have questions that you would like me to ask in upcoming interviews, please leave in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss the latest interview. Thank you.